Conservatives are getting in on the virtue signaling business. Look at this here. This is from Matt Gaetz. Breaking: Gaetz introducing bill requiring U.S. soccer to stand for Anthem or face financial repercussions. If players are playing for our national team, they should stand for the anthem. They should respect our flag. So as Zed Jelani pointed out on Twitter, usually left-wingers have a monopoly on the virtue signaling business, but now Matt Gaetz is getting in on that, and I would actually disagree with Zed Jelani. There's plenty of right-wing virtue signalers out there. And this is just such a clear example of it here. It's the whole, flag worship thing. And all this started with Colin Kaepernick. When Colin Kaepernick kneeled and he said, hey, listen, this really has nothing to do with the flag or the national anthem. The reason I'm doing this is because I think we should act on police brutality and stop police brutality. And he was, lost his career and had his reputation tarnished, and half the country absolutely despises him as a result of what he did. And nobody's been proven more correct in the past, couple weeks than Colin Kaepernick, because that was peaceful protest to stop police brutality. And then now there were riots and looting after the killing of George Floyd, and every conservative that I've seen in mainstream media, they immediately argued, well, the looting and the rioting is wrong. If only these looters and rioters peacefully protested, then I'd support them. Except Colin Kaepernick did exactly that on this exact issue, and you didn't support him. You called him unpatriotic. So now Matt Gaetz is running that logic into the end zone here, and he's introducing a bill that requires people to stand for the national anthem or face financial repercussions. By the way, completely, utterly, obviously unconstitutional. We've had many Supreme Court cases about something that goes beyond just kneeling for the anthem, about flag burning. There were many Supreme Court cases on flag burning. And because it's an issue that allows politicians to virtue signal. Me? I love America. I love this country. So the symbol of America is the flag. If you desecrate the flag, then you're evil and you should go to prison. That's what you should do. And Justice Antonin Scalia, who's a far-right justice, he said, I don't know why we're even debating this. This is the most open and closed case imaginable. The whole point of the First Amendment is that it protects speech which makes people uncomfortable. That's the whole point of the First Amendment. So, of course, the government cannot arrest somebody, fine somebody for desecrating a flag. That's the definition of freedom. The whole point of freedom, it's not like you don't need freedom to do the things that everybody agrees with. You need freedom to do the things that piss people off, specifically, which, by the way, you're not hurting anybody else. You're not taking away anybody's rights if you burn a flag. So you're not hurting anybody else, but you're taking this action. It pisses people off, but that doesn't matter. That's the whole point of freedom. It's like the real tests of the standards and the principles are on the fringe cases. That's when you're really testing your commitment to a principle. And so Antonin Scalia was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Of course you can't pass a law fining somebody or arresting somebody for burning a flag. The whole point of patriotism, guys, is patriotism isn't not burning a flag. Patriotism is understanding and acknowledging how awesome it is that you live in a country that allows you to burn the flag and doesn't crack your skull over it or lock you in a cage because of it. That's patriotism. Patriotism is understanding, I guess this is kind of a special place if you can burn a flag that represents the place and you're still able to walk around and do your thing. That's why I tell you guys all the time, the very first thing I bring up when I'm asked why I love this country is the First Amendment. Freedom of speech, freedom to protest. That's the best thing about this country by far. And then I'd also argue the history. There's a rich history of left-wing movements in the U.S., union movements, of, the civil rights movement, people standing up for justice to create a more perfect union. We also have the opposite. Slavery is also as American as apple pie. Native American genocide, same thing. Nuking innocent civilians in Japan. There's good and there's bad, for sure. But that's all American. But the best part is that we have freedom of speech and that you can burn a flag and it's perfectly legal. That's wonderful. Because guess what? When you have a system that protects free speech, there's a built-in correction mechanism where people can fix stuff moving forward because they have the freedom and the flexibility to critique. So then we could listen to those critiques and react accordingly. For him to try to financially punish people who don't stand for the national anthem, this is the exact kind of BS, faux patriotism, flag worship nonsense. Just do yourself a favor. Take out the U.S. in this instance and just put in a country, any other country, and you'll see how primitive this mindset is. If a foreign country banned somebody from or financially punished them for or locked them up for kneeling for their anthem, we'd be like, oh, wow, that's some really authoritarian, childish BS, isn't it? Petty leaders who are unserious, who just care about symbolism. But in this country, we do it, and, you know, a bunch of people on the right are going to cheerlead this, man. Even though it's deeply unconstitutional. You're allowed to burn a flag in this country. Of course you can't have the government financially punish people because they want to kneel for the national anthem.